A lot of folks are taking the internet-fueled idea of storming Area 51.
In 2019, a joke was started online to raid Area 51, but somehow this actually turned into a real-life event that led to thousands of people arriving at the remote Nevada desert location. So today we'll be discussing the bizarre phenomenon of an internet meme becoming a reality. On June 27, 2019, a 20-year-old California resident, Maddie Roberts, created a Facebook event named Storm Area 51. They can't stop all of us. Roberts posted the event to his meme page, called Shitposting Cuz I'm in Shambles. This fake gathering came with a quickly iconic description that read, "If we Naruto run, we can move faster than their bullets." And in just a few weeks, 1 million people had responded going, rallying around the battle cry, "Let's see them aliens." Roberts later revealed that his joke was inspired by Joe Rogan's interview with Area 51 conspiracy theorist Bob Lazar, and the page quickly spread like wildfire across multiple forms of social media. The joke was also seeing increasing attention in the mainstream, particularly around users who were promising to follow through on the raid. Although many of these were just part of the joke, their prevalence prompted the US Air Force to issue a formal response to the page. In it, spokeswoman Laura McAndrews discouraged anyone from attempting to enter the base, saying that the US Air Force always stands ready to protect America and its assets. Reports also emerged that local law enforcement was actively monitoring the Facebook post and were also planning to crack down hard on anyone who actually tried to enter the base. While some found these reactions extreme, the warnings from law enforcement would be tested many times before the end of the event. We'll learn more about this after a brief word from our sponsor. Not everything in a bad habit is wrong, so instead of a drastic, uncomfortable change, why not just remove the bad from the habit? Which is where fume comes into the picture. Instead of electronics, fume is completely natural. Instead of vapor, fume uses flavored air. And instead of harmful chemicals, fume uses all natural flavors. With fume, you just get a bunch of scented little sticks and it becomes breathable air that smells really good. Your fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial and is designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting, giving your fingers a lot to do, which is helpful for de-stressing and anxiety while breaking your habit. While raspberry, lemon, and white cranberry smell pretty good, I think my favorite scent is the orange vanilla. Fume has served over 100,000 customers and has thousands of success stories of helping people stop their bad habits. So to try it out for yourself, click the link in the description down below or go to tryfume.com/TheGamerFromMars. You could also use the QR code currently on the screen. And if you use the code TheGamerFromMars at checkout, you will get 10% off the Journey Packet today. So again, click the link in the description down below or use the QR code on the screen to try out Fume for yourself. As more and more people announced their plans to make their way to Nevada, the focus soon turned to the small towns that are neighbors to Area 51, Rachel and Heiko, where most of them would have to stay. Just a few days after the Air Force issued their statement, Nevada's KNTV News interviewed Connie West, owner of the Little Alien, a UFO-themed motel in Rachel. West said that her phone had been ringing non-stop, and September 20th, the date that the Facebook event was scheduled to take place on, had already been entirely booked up. Some Nevada locals expressed concern about the incoming crowds, and wondered if the area had the infrastructure to support the numbers of people who were interested. Some compared the event to the infamous Fire Festival from 2 years prior, which had become a worldwide punchline after a disastrous weekend that left the event's location destroyed, and its attendance furious. On July 17th, Maddie Roberts came forward and revealed himself publicly as the creator of the event, and admitted that the post's popularity had caught him completely by surprise. As hundreds of thousands of people discussed the best way to storm the Air Force Base, Roberts became increasingly worried that the FBI might show up to his house. He also reinforced that, despite some users' plans, the event was entirely satirical, and he believed that most people were engaging with it on those terms. The joke itself was still firmly in the public eye, and it received another popularity boost when rapper Lil Nas X released a remix for his hit song Old Town Road, with an animated video themed after the event. This is the most 2019 video you'll ever see, filled with Reddit memes such as Keanu Reeves and the Walmart Yodel Kid. While there was a lot of doubt in the air, some locals emerged to show their support for the raid, such as businessman George Harris. He planned to lay down an acre of fake grass and set up an alien-themed movie screening, which he hoped to make into an annual event. Harris nicknamed the incoming crowd the Swarm, and predicted that anywhere from 2,500 to 25,000 people would likely arrive from the 1.5 million who had signed up at that point. There was also a large influx of raid-themed merchandise appearing online, as everyone desperately tried to capitalize on the event's moment in the spotlight. Soon, mainstream brands like Oreos and Kool-Aid began to embrace the joke. Even Arby's announced that they would have a presence at the event with a specialized menu. But most businesses stopped at generic tweets about the raid, such as Bud Light promising free beers to any alien that makes it out. But one local resident had a closer encounter with the government than anyone expected. Jorg Arnu, who runs a website that focuses on Area 51 and its potential secrets, told the local news that he'd seen a huge spike in his site's traffic after the meme began, jumping from hundreds to thousands of hits per day. In mid-July, Arnu's home was raided by FBI and Air Force agents, who he said confiscated laptops, phones, backup drives, camera gear, and his drone, while leaving thousands of dollars worth of damage to his multiple residences in Rachel. Neither agency ever commented on the reason for this search. As the event's popularity grew, Matty Roberts' perspective on it started to shift. He began to think of the post as not just a virtual joke, but the groundwork for a legitimate event. Roberts shared his early plans for what he described as a festival of sorts, with entertainment provided by some of the many bands who had reached out to him over Facebook and expressed a desire to play at Area 51 alongside the Raiders. These plans were revealed during an interview in which Roberts was dressed up as Naruto, so it was difficult to tell how seriously the idea should be taken. But by September 30th, 2 million people had signed up for the raid, and quite a few of them had already made plans to storm Nevada. On August 19th, Roberts' idea became reality when he announced an event called Alien Stock, a music festival that would bring together multiple little-known artists to celebrate a joke that had grown wildly beyond anyone's expectations. He began to coordinate the festival in Rachel with Kanye West, who called the idea terrifying. Now that there was an actual event to attend, hundreds of thousands of people arriving in town was no longer a theory. With a population of under 100, Rachel was not the best equipped venue to provide enough food, water, and safety for the expected crowd of up to 40,000. These expectations prompted Lincoln County to take the situation even more seriously than the Raiders, and local officials began to plan with their neighboring governments on how to best manage their limited resources. There were only 184 hotel rooms available for use, and according to the county's commission chairman, Varlin Higbee, the local cell phone system was guaranteed to crash if more than a couple hundred people tried to use it at the same time. As the festival's date, now confirmed to be September 20th, grew closer, the warnings to stay away from the base became more frequent and more desperate. On September 9th, Matty Roberts announced that he was dropping out of Alien Stock on the festival's official website, which was only a couple of weeks old. Roberts' decision was based on what he called a possible humanitarian disaster in the works, and his statement concluded with a reference to Fyre Festival and his hope to avoid creating a second version of that famous blunder. As an alternative, he and his team began to promote a free event called Area 51 Celebration at the downtown Las Vegas Events Center on September 19th, which would feature some of the artists who had been ready to perform at Alien Stock. Around this time, another event called Area 51 Base Camp was announced in Haikou, which tried to salvage the attendees who had suddenly found themselves without a festival to attend. But while Roberts' announcement was intended to pull the plug on the party entirely, Alien Stock was not dead yet. Connie West still planned to push forward with the event, although she was maybe the only resident of Rachel who still wanted it to come to their doorstep. At this point, the town's official website even had a message posted to its homepage that urged festival goers to stay away, which remains up to this day. The military stayed vigilant, and 4 days before the festival was scheduled to start, the US Federal Aviation Administration temporarily closed the airspace above Area 51. Everything from news helicopters to emergency medical flights were banned from the region, which only added to the military base's reputation as one of the most restricted airspaces in the world. On September 19th, the enthusiastic raiders began to show up to the remote region of Nevada. The small town of Rachel was soon full of cars, campers, and tents as the festival started early. About 75 dedicated raiders made their way to the outskirts of Area 51 that night, where they encountered a very alert military presence guarding the base. That crowd soon grew to more than 150, all of whom got close enough to the base to take some selfies at the gates. They brought tinfoil hats, Naruto headbands, and other props to celebrate the aliens they had all jokingly come to free. Many of the raiders carried signs and slogans that quickly became iconic, including "Let's clap some alien cheeks." Inevitably, a few raiders pushed things too far. One person was arrested for public urination, and a total of 6 people were detained on misdemeanor trespassing charges for attempting to enter the base. While the crowd eventually dispersed back to Rachel, some stayed behind to camp in the desert, embracing the experience as deeply as they could. Jorg Arnu, who could see the festival center from his home, told the media that he was preparing for the worst. He also speculated that many of the visitors had arrived unprepared for the climate and would be disappointed by its harsh conditions, not to mention the lack of aliens. Still, parties started to break out across the desert as the attendees made the most out of the situation, and they continued on into the next day. The 3 events had drawn out a huge media presence, all of whom hoped to document the phenomenon's success or failure. Thankfully, Alien Stock was not the humanitarian disaster that Maddie Roberts had predicted. Across the first night, only a few minor injuries were incurred, including one attendee who was treated for dehydration. Another man was reported missing on the morning of the 20th, but he was found safely by the evening. 2 vehicular crashes also occurred, both involving cars hitting cows who were grazing alongside the highway, but no motorists were injured. But aside from these inevitable incidents, the gatherings did achieve some success, at least on a personal level. One raider, John Derryberry, told reporters that there was a great sense of community amongst the Area 51 fans, many more of whom made the trek out to the base to see it for themselves across the next couple days. One woman from California was arrested after she told sheriff's deputies and everyone around her that she was going to trespass on the grounds no matter what, and then proceeded to do just that. But she was an outlier among the crowd. Most people were happy to just get together, listen to some music, and enjoy the experience. As the crowd in Rachel reached its peak at around 3,000 people, the authorities even began to scale back the resources they had set aside for the visitors. Still, with multiple unpredictable events underway, tensions were high. One attempt to break that tension from the DVIDs, a military media organization, was met with strong backlash after a post of theirs went viral. The tweet in question showed a B-52 Spirit stealth bomber with the text, "The last thing #millennials will see if they attempt to raid #Area 51 raid today." Although it was intended to be a joke, many people felt it was an inappropriate way for the military to address the situation, since they did have a long history of killing people with said aircraft. The tweet was quickly deleted, and the Defense Department issued an apology for it soon afterwards. Maddie Roberts' event was the most popular of the 3 gatherings, with 10,000 people joined together in a grand-scale celebration. Bud Light, now an official sponsor, had created a limited edition Area 51 can to commemorate the raid, and then helped to create a party packed with carnival rides, food, and an unsurprisingly large amount of beer. The other events were not quite as popular as their creators had envisioned, and the Area 51 base camp was the first one to fold. Its organizer, Keith Wright, reported that only about 500 people had shown up, despite him planning for up to 5,000. Due to the ongoing costs, Wright pulled the plug early, calling the event a gamble financially, and that he lost. But through it all, the heart of the raid was in Rachel. Although there had been many concerns about the festival's presence in town, most residents embraced the spirit of the gathering once it was going, building concession stands and connecting with tourists. When the dust settled on Alien Stock, Connie West called it the most fabulous time with a great turnout. Jorg Arnu shared the same sentiment, saying that the locals were breathing a sigh of relief that the event had gone so well. But even when the raid was over, it was not free from legal concerns. A few days after the event, it was reported that Connie West had filed a lawsuit against Maddie Roberts, alleging that he had cheated her out of thousands of dollars in funding. The suit also accused Roberts of trying to sabotage the event by backing out and publicly smearing it, which West had allegedly spent over $110,000 on through her business. A great deal of that money had come from Pornhub, one of the original festival sponsors, who had apparently given Roberts $70,000 of funding that West never saw. As of now, there are no updates on this lawsuit, and it seems to have slipped out of the public consciousness as much as the event itself did. Predictably, there was some talk of a second Alien Stock the following year, but these plans never came to fruition. The main reason for this was COVID-19, which cancelled most festivals and gatherings worldwide in 2020. But it could have also been due to the fact that the meme had simply run its course. The raid on Area 51 will always be remembered as a strange moment of dedication in the history of internet humor, and as an inspiring example of what can bring people together, even in the most remote of places. But it's unlikely that the festival will ever live again. And given that its official website now redirects to an online gambling service, it's even less likely that the same people will be in charge.
So there you have the raiding of Area 51, and even though we didn't see any aliens, I still haven't given up hope just yet. So with that thought, I think I'll end the video here, and until next time, thanks for watching.